Hi there, welcome to my views and news. Can you hear me, viewers? Thank you for responding with yes. Let me welcome the participants first. Then I have an interesting piece of information for you in tonight's live chat. MMT, first viewer who commented, welcome. MMT, Africa Star here. Mahmoud Ahmedin, Shagre Tilahun, Med Abduali, James Birhano, Dadebit, Solomon Dessa, Mihari Wender, Ilyas Estefano, Hirubil Ephraim, a new wave, a new beginning. Interesting screen name. The Just Judge. Well, another interesting name. Judges should always be just, by the way. PE joined Yosedek. Omar here. Sajid, you predicted couple of years before what is happening. Umarade says, you predicted couple of years before what is happening in Ethiopia now. But yeah, I think anyone can predict if we analyze things objectively. Iyaso here, Med Abduali, Skandar here, Dark Star, Equal Justice, Abebe Asfau, Elijah Kano. By the way, I just want to remind you, do watch a video which I did the day or a day after Pretoria deal was signed. It was signed in November 2022, 3 years ago, around 3 years ago. I'm not just appreciating myself, but I'm just telling you that when I read that agreement, it was in English. It was easy for me to understand it. It wasn't in local language. When I read that agreement, I analyzed it, and on that day, I said that Pretoria deal did not address key issues. And I said that this deal is only silencing guns. If this deal is not reinforced by additional deals, one day you will see a conflict. That's what I said in 2022, I remember. Uh, and why did I say that? Because Pretoria did not mention a clear timeline and follow up for the resolution of key disputes. Disputes like Volkite, like Raya. And now you're seeing what is happening in Volkite. So Pretoria was not a complete agreement. It was just a foundation for more dialogue. I think TPLF and federal government wasted lots of time. They could have strengthened Pretoria. They could have signed more deals. They could have built trust. But the two accused each other. And now both are accusing each other of violating Pretoria, and they're back to square one. They're on the verge of a new war. Iskandar says, do you still prefer not to disclose the blunder? I cannot, Skandar. I told you that. Skandar, suppose you share a piece of information with me, which is very important. But you say, Sajid, if you break this news, I might be in trouble. You say that I could be in trouble in many ways. My life could be in trouble. So then I will never break that news. I got the piece of information, which I got months ago, by the way. I knew that Abiy had made a blunder. The man who gave me the information months ago, then he said, don't break it, please. If you break it, all will point fingers towards me, and I'll be in trouble. So I stopped. This is the reason. So what matters is the safety, the lives of other people who are in touch with me. I respect them. I defend them. I support them because they are my valuable assets. That's why I cannot disclose the blunder. So I was talking about Volkite issue, that Pretoria left questions unanswered. International community forgot Tigray war, and TPLF and federal government could not build the level of trust which they should have built, and now they're back to square one. Rather, uh, one important point, I think tonight I'm getting some new thoughts in my mind. Today's Ethiopia perhaps is more fractured Ethiopia when it was in 2020. 2020's Ethiopia was less divided. Today's Ethiopia is more divided. That is why there is riskier environment, more likelihood of a conflict. In 2020, main conflict was between TPLF and the rest of Ethiopia. Largely, TPLF versus rest of Ethiopia, supported by Eritrea. Now, Fano, one player, TPLF, another player. TPF is a third player being raised by the government. Eritrean opposition, fourth player. Eritrea. Ola could be involved to this time. Maybe O and LF too. So now situation is more complicated than it was in 2020. What do you say? Peace and love join. Welcome, peace and love. Good to be with you. Samuel Faleke, second member who joined. Peace and love and Samuel are two members. Uni Musica, third member who joined. Special welcome, Uni. We have three members so far in tonight's live chat. Good to be with you. If you want to be a member, link is given in description section of the live chat and description section of videos and in the about section of the channel too. Taha Abu Bakr joined. Say the House says, can you give us more analysis on Sudan situation effect on Volkite case? Well, I'll have to do some exclusive session on it, live chat or video. If I get some time, I'll speak about it. Peace and Love says, Abi looks very angry when spoke yesterday. Well, this is what tonight's main topic is. Uh, did Abi look frustrated yesterday? Was he really frustrated or was he faking it? You know that sometimes people fake things, fake emotions. So was Abi really frustrated yesterday or was he faking it? Who was he addressing? Why did he choose this time to launch a fiery attack on Eritrea? Why did he choose this time? What is the reason? These are very important questions. If we find answers, then we'll be able to understand what Abi's real motive was. I worked on it. I've been busy since yesterday. I think now I have the information to give you an analysis. You might not agree with me, but that's what I have learned. It's analysis come intelligence, which I'm going to share with you. Samuel says, who do you think is responsible for today's unrest in Ethiopia? Well, you cannot just blame one party. I mean, yes, governments are more to blame because governments enjoy power. They are more responsible than others, but others are responsible too. Fano don't want to talk. EPLF don't want any change. They want to be back in Addis. Abiy wants to crush everyone. So all are responsible in varying degrees. Iskandar says, why can't you find a way for people living in Ethiopia to be a member through VPN? Well, if you use a VPN, you can be a member. And I'll get a few dollars, but I won't advise that. Don't be a member using VPN. Why? Because sometimes use of VPN is not safe. Your bank account or credit card details could be stolen. I don't want that. So don't risk it. Don't try to be a member from Ethiopia. Ethiopia has lots of poor people. Lots of people doing good things in Ethiopia. Appreciate their work, help the poor there, but don't risk your accounts. Don't be a member using a VPN. Sammy says Abi is not as sophisticated as you make him to be. Well, let me just explain, then you can decide what he was doing yesterday. I would request you to let me speak for a few minutes so that I can explain the topic and explain the piece of information. But just let me speak for around 10 minutes, and then you can write questions and comments. But have questions in mind, which I raised. Why did Abi choose the time, yesterday's time, to lash out at Eritrea? Who was he addressing? Was he addressing Isas Afwerki? Was he addressing international community? If international community is not listening to him, why is he addressing them? If Isas is not listening to him, why is he addressing him? He can just mobilize military. Is he short of options? Or is he frustrated? Is he desperate? These are the questions. Keep these questions in mind, then you will be able to understand what I'm going to explain. When I watched Abi's speech yesterday, my first impression was that Ethiopian PM was really frustrated, very angry. I mean, I never saw him compare Ethiopia and Eritrea in this manner. He was saying that Eritrean population just 3 million. Every year, I think he said, we are producing one Eritrea in terms of population. He said the country has no constitution, no youth, no election. He criticized Eritrea in every way. But what I have learned and what I have understood after talking to some people is that Abiy did not address Eritrea yesterday. He chose this time to make a speech deliberately. Abiy, so far, is not frustrated. He faked frustration. He faked anger yesterday. Why? Why? Is he just trying to threaten Eritrea, that Eritrea will be scared and just give in? Eritrea won't be scared. He knows it very well. But no. Peace and Love says he seemed mentally unstable. No. There is method in his madness. I say sometimes about Abi that he has method in madness. If anyone saw or read Shakespeare's Hamlet, one of the main phases of that drama was method in madness. Hamlet went crazy, he went mad, but there was method in his madness. So Abi's madness, it has a method. He delivered this speech in the parliament at a time when talks are going to start between Ethiopia and Egypt. Americans have done the homework reportedly. In a video a few days ago, I told you about preparations at US State Department level. And I said that uh, talks are going to start uh, at lower level first. Talks will start at higher level too. And I know the names of two Ethiopian government officials who have been chosen to represent Ethiopia. Again, I cannot disclose, but I know the names. Abiy deliberately spoke angrily yesterday. International media covered it. I mean, Bloomberg, Reuters, US based news sources all covered Abiy's threat, and all uh, published headlines that Ethiopian Prime Minister request international mediation for gaining sea access. Abiy staged a drama yesterday to send a message to the US at a crucial time when Ethiopia Egypt talks are going to start, mediated by the US. Abiy played a card telling the US through yesterday's speech that US is concerned about Egyptian water security. But US should know that what is existential issue for Ethiopia is the sea access. The most important issue, life and death issue for Ethiopia is sea access, not dam, not River Nile. While US is concerned about GERD, Ethiopia is concerned about the sea access. And if US wants any relaxation or any guarantees from Ethiopia about building new dams over River Nile or about the use of River Nile, it will have to, US will have to take into consideration, and US will have to take seriously Ethiopian quest for the sea access. US will have to stand with Ethiopia. If US does not stand with Ethiopia, Ethiopia won't cooperate with the US regarding the dam issue raised by Egypt. Yesterday's speech was a very calculated move by the Ethiopian PM. I think he sent a message, clear message. Everyone is covering it. International media is covering it. Diplomats are saying that, oh, Ethiopia is threatening Eritrea. Ethiopia is planning to wage war on Eritrea. The two countries on the verge of a war. Abiy is saying that he won't let his country remain without sea. If there is no intervention, war could erupt. He staged a drama, and he wants to attract US attention. And you will see more such statements in coming days by top government officials. They will issue similar statements that Assab is ours. No one can stop us from gaining access to Assab. We will die for Assab. That man started today, by the way, Ethiopian ambassador to Kenya, Bacha Dable. Did you see what he said today? He said, Assab is our heritage. We were deprived of it. We'll regain it. You'll see more such statements by Ethiopian ambassadors, government officials. All that is linked to the coming dialogue between Ethiopia and Egypt, facilitated by Americans. Ethiopia wants the US to support Ethiopian case for access to sea. If US wants Ethiopia to sign a legally binding agreement with Egypt about dam operations. So yesterday's frustration was very calculated one. How far will US support Ethiopian case for access to sea? A few weeks ago, Bolus, US Africa advisor to US President, visited Ethiopia. And he told Abiy that Ethiopia should not resort to military option to gain the sea access. Uh, Ethiopia said, okay, but we want sea access. We want sea access. It's an existential issue for us. So you're stopping us from waging war, but we need your support. So Abiy is playing a new card now. The card is that he is using a diplomatic tool through US to pressurize Eritrea. Eritrea, by the way, this is very eager. It's very eager to re-establish closer links with the US. Isaias Afwerki's government has been silent about the US in recent months. Isaias Afwerki is hoping that US and Eritrea relations will improve. I think he said, if you remember in an interview, that 2026 will be the year of betterment of Eritrea-US relations. So Eritrea is hoping to improve ties with the US. Ethiopia is linking GERD talks to access to us. What will US do? I think a lot depends on the US now. So yesterday, the PM did not address China, though he mentioned China, by the way. He said, we have contacted China, we have contacted the US, we have contacted African Union, we have told them that we need access to sea. It's existential issue for us. Mainly, he addressed the US. China, won't intervene. AU is toothless. Can AU mediate between Eritrea and Ethiopia about sea access? No. China is not known for involving itself in such disputes. Basically, he addressed Americans. Middle East is divided. Middle East cannot be trusted. Middle East cannot be a player. If US involves, then Middle Eastern ally of the US will also support US policy. Main player is the US. And Abiy sent a clear message to the US yesterday. Let's see how the message is read by the US. The Fox says Abiy and his drama always backfires. Let's see. By the way, people talk a lot about UAE, that UAE is Abiy's friend, etc. That UAE is one of the main supporters of Abiy. I'll do a video on that or live chat in coming days. What is happening behind the scenes in Ethiopia UAE relations. A lot is not being discussed. Maybe it's not being revealed. So hopefully I'll do a live chat or a video on it. Samia says, why should USA support Abiy? Do you think they are so naive? Why is US supporting Egypt? If US can support Egypt, Ethiopia could demand US to support Ethiopia on the issue of access to sea. Cepheus says, Isaias cannot be a friend of USA, EU, Israel, African Union, and Russia. Yeah, you're right. He'll have to pick sides. Interesting Life says, why does opposition always underestimate Abi? Well, Abi underestimates them and they underestimate Abi. Mooney says, Mr. Conflict Analyst, this is one of your best analysis. Abi never loses his cool when you see him up and close in a heated discussion. He is sarcasm on steroids. He did lots of sarcastic remarks. Well, you know more about steroids and heat and these type of things. JX Ferengi joined. I never saw Abi closely, Mooney. Maybe you saw him. You held discussions with him. Uh, but I rely on the views of people who have seen him, who have met him. And then I build my own analysis. Because your body language tells a lot. Mooney Mooney says, are you suggesting I am on steroids? No, I don't think you're on steroids. Uh, you could be on some other stuff which sometimes men use when they think they need to uh, improve their performance. DSG says, how would USA pressure Isaias? If they try, he can still pull the Russian card as they have been interested in base on the Red Sea. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point, DSG. By the way, if US cannot pressurize Eritrea, there is no other country which can pressurize Eritrea. US is perhaps more important player than China, than Russia, than Middle Eastern countries when it comes to putting pressure upon Eritrea. If US really wants to put pressure, really, if US has decided that it wants to put pressure, the way Trump makes decisions, if US decides, I think US is the best option for the Ethiopian government. And secondly, why would China or Russia support Ethiopian government's position about sea access? Ethiopia is addressing the US because US want something from Ethiopia, and that is agreement about good. Ethiopia says, okay, we want sea access in return. Moni Moni does, interesting does 245 bench press, and Moni Moni does 325. I am around 130, by the way. I'm just a beginner. I started a few months ago. I go to gym off and on. But Mooney's bench press is exceptional. Keeping in view the age factor, I don't think that Mooney is young. My guess is that he would be over 50, I think. Very important question. Elias says, what Eritrea will get in return? Yeah, that is what Eritrea should think, that what should it get in return? Why should it just agree to Ethiopian dictates of sea access? This is the question. I mean, Eritrea is saying no, no talks, no talks, no dialogue. But I think it should at least consider other scenarios too. That if in a worst case scenario, we have to agree to give sea access to Ethiopia, what should be our demands? At least they should uh, study it. Maybe they are already doing it. Elijah says, can Trump really order Isaias to give a piece of coastline? Well, keeping in view Trump's track record, he can say anything, by the way. Moon is 61. Wow, impressive. At 61, bench press is 300, over 300 pounds. Wow. That's very impressive, Mooney. Keep it up. Strong man. No, no, it's pound. Drill will 300 kg, pounds, not kilograms. Interesting Life says, can you run for ambassador to Ethiopia? I would never like to do that. I mean, I love to be independent. Don't like to work in such positions. Beniam says he did 130 non-stop push-ups. Interesting. We have very strong men, by the way, watching my views and news. Koala says, last question, then we'll end the live. He says, is Egypt more important, the US or Ethiopia? Egypt is more important, no doubt about that. Ethiopia is important too, but Egypt is situated in an area where US will always be involved. Israel shares border with uh, Gaza, and this issue in the Middle East It has been ongoing for decades. It will go on, I think. So Egypt, US will always try to keep Egypt on its side, I think. Mooney says, Beniam, I challenge you to do 25 pull-ups. Yeah, pull-ups are difficult to do. Push-ups can be done 30, 40, 50 maybe. Thank you, Lilo. You help me a lot. Well done, Guracha. We have some super fit men viewing my views and news. No, I haven't. James, I haven't served there. Samuel is saying today's live chat is chit chatting. It's good sometimes to be just chit chatting. Thank you, viewers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining the live chat. I'll be back tomorrow. Do write in comment section about the topic which I raised, which I spoke on. What is your view? Will this method in madness work? Will it backfire? Will Trump turn against Abiy? Or will he just uh, fall in line with Ethiopian narrative to pressurize Eritrea? Let's see. Uh, Dialogue between Ethiopia and Egypt going to start soon. Ethiopian delegation is making preparations. Once they start uh, meetings, I'll inform you about it. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, bye bye.